Hello, bearded bee people. Welcome back to Bean KBs. It's bee season. It's March, which is not usually considered bee season here in Michigan, but this is an early warm spell that I hope sticks around. It's going to stick around for the foreseeable future. It is March 28th, I think, and it's got to be 55 degrees out here, and the bees are flying. And I wanted to talk about what I think about early in the spring. And obviously we're all thinking about, when are we going to get these bees out of the woods? When are they going to be considered survivors? And my honest answer to that is when you can start feeding them. When you can start feeding them sugar, syrup. So I actually have some syrup out here today that I'm giving them. It's thicker syrup, which is normally not what you do in the spring. In the spring you want to feed 1-to-1 or even thinner than that in order to mimic nectar and get those bees to consider it a nectar flow and start building up the way they do during nectar flows. But today I'm out here feeding thicker syrup because it's 55 degrees and it's March and we do have some cold weather ahead of us, I'm sure. So I want to limit the amount of water they're bringing into the hive, but I do want to give them sustenance and stuff that they can do while they're out flying. So of course you could do that with dry sugar, but this is a lot easier. So I am doing that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's not the greatest practice to get into, to start feeding syrup too early. But just be careful with that. And if you can, avoid any nights that are going to get below freezing. But if it stays up above freezing at night, those bees will have a pretty good ability to keep that internal cluster temperature at, in the butter zone. So I'm not worried about that. So the other thing that I think about is, when can I start feeding pollen? I don't feed a whole lot of pollen throughout the bee year here in Michigan because we've got a lot of natural forage, but I do in the spring. And I wait for the maples to start blooming because that's our first real bloom and first real availability of pollen is when those maples start to pop. And that is right about here. I was in the Detroit area this last weekend, and they're blooming all over down there, and the pussy willows are getting ready to bloom as well down there. So I ordered some pollen substitute, and I will be putting that on either tomorrow, which is Friday, or Saturday. So it's time, folks. It's time to start encouraging some buildup in these hives. So yeah, just because those maples are blooming doesn't mean that they have availability of carbohydrates. So if you can, if they're light, get out there, give them a sugar brick, give them some syrup, whatever it is that you plan on doing. But make sure that they have some sustenance because, as I said, those maples don't mean anything about sugar. And that's what they need to continue on. That's what they need to have energy. They use that pollen to feed the young larvae and they use that pollen to feed the young larvae. It doesn't help to sustain or give energy to the colony as a whole. So they really need that dose of carbohydrates that I'm out here giving them today. You may notice that this is kind of a different feeder style. This is not my style. I learned it from Canadian Beekeeper's blog, Ian Stepler. It seemed like a better method than the upturned buckets that I've been using for so many years. So I'm giving that a shot. It's got a straw in there and sugar syrup up to about there. And then that one has holes in it. This one doesn't yet. I'm going to just leave it open because it's not going to rain. Not for the next couple of days anyway. So my overwinter success went really well in the yards that I had access to. There were 2 yards that I didn't have any access to, and I just got to one for the first time today since October. And those bees are still under snow. And they had not had an ability to get out very well, so I don't really expect a whole lot of success out of those 2 yards, unfortunately, but that means that I've got to be smarter picking yards going forward. But yards like this that I was able to access for the most part as I needed throughout the winter, these are doing pretty well. So I'm happy. I'm really happy that it's warm and it's March and the bees are flying and I'm going to freaking play some golf this weekend. So I'm geeked. Let me know how your winter went. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully I'll have some other videos. I think I'm going to make another video today. I'm going to go pick up a bunch of bee equipment, and I figured why not roll some camera then. So get out there and help your bees and have some fun with them and enjoy the beginning of the 2019 bee season, because as I find out every single year, it's going to be over before we know it. So thanks for watching. See ya.